second and not worry about it until the deed was done.
Then it just got to the stage, I don't know why, but the walls and the furniture and the ornaments or the TV, it wasn't enough. It just, for some reason, I'd be so angry and so frustrated. I started hitting Lisa. And it's the thing that went through my mind at the time was, it's your fault, you bitch. You asked for it.
I used to sort of get a thrill out of blocking her punches, seeing her little arm hitting my arm and seeing the pain in her eyes as she's trying to defend herself against me, but hurting herself in the process.
Sometimes it was just a slap. Then sort of like a hit with an open hand, sort of like a push with the base of my hand, and they went from there to a fist, and that's. I knew it was starting to get pretty bad when that happened, and then another night she was standing here in the room. She was ironing, and she said something to me. I don't know what it was, but I was just sitting there and it sparked me right off, and just before I knew it, I was up out of the chair and I'd kicked her in the back. I kicked her and the ironing board clean across the room.
I can see the fear in her eyes, and to know that you've got somebody that afraid, it gives you this false sense of power over them. To do whatever you want to do, to throw them across the room, to have them by the throat and know no matter how much they hit you, they can't hurt you. I've had my wife, I've stuck my face out and let her just hit me over and over and over again and say, see, it doesn't hurt.
And then she was sitting in a chair one day and she said something to me. I can't remember what it was, but she said something and something inside me snapped, and I hit her. And I hit her really hard in the eye, and a square on my fist. And it was the first time in all the time we'd been arguing that it made me feel better, and I enjoyed it. Because usually I didn't remember a lot of it. And this time, it was the last time I've ever hit her.
I grabbed her by the throat and I had the fist back and I just looked at her face and I saw what I saw when I first met her. It was the girl that I fell in love with.
I was married when I was 16 years old. It was heaven on a stick at first. It was pretty good. I got married to keep my mum happy, but also because I obviously love the man too. But I fell pregnant, so my mum, being of an Italian descent, was always badgering me, marry the man, marry the man.
And right from the start, our relationship, he used to belt me. He'd come home from work and he'd punch me and kick me with his boots when he had his boots on.
There's one particular incident I remember being knocked out at a party because there was a man looking at me. When I was knocked out, I was brought around by him urinating over me in front of everybody. I'd been knocked out many times during my marriage.
My nose has been broken 4 times. I've had cracked ribs. I've been in a spinal unit. My hip's been fractured. Black eyes by the hundreds. I've had 2 broken legs, both at the same time, where I was sitting on the couch and I got told not to move. Well, I went to move and I can't remember until this day whether it was a cricket bat or a baseball bat. One of the two. It was just bashed me in the legs with it. Just once, and it just broke both my legs. Just got worse and worse after that.
When I was going with Tony, I wouldn't go anywhere near my doctor because of the bruising, and I didn't want him to see the bruises.
I did try to leave him, but he'd always find me. He'd always bring me back. From my own childhood, I had seen my mother put up with it, and therefore it was easy to accept that that was a normal thing to do, was just to put up with it, hoping that one day that they will change. I knew deep down that, no, he wouldn't change, but I held on to that hope that he would.
I don't know, I had a baby. I had responsibilities. I was scared. I left a couple of times. Went to my mum once, you know. Where do you go? You always go to your family, but caused a lot of trouble for my family. And I didn't want to do that to my mum again. He came to my mum's house and just smashed her front door. All right, it's just smashing her door. He could have done more, but that upset her, and I didn't want to upset her no more. So I just put up with it.
If I didn't subject to whatever he wanted, like in sex, he'd just take it by force. And at the time I thought it was the right thing. Well, he had the right to do it because nobody's told me anything different. Like, nobody said that it was right what he was doing.
I was raped, not violently, but silently. I was ordered to take my clothes off, where I'd be standing in front of him. He'd have a rifle tracing out my body, the butt of it, like that.
It was daytime when the assault that he's in jail for happened. He came around to visit, and I went for a walk with the kids, and he dragged me off the street to get at me. I had witnesses for that.
You were separated at the time?
Yes, we were, and I also had a protection order. When he got me home, he had me by the throat. The kids got slammed in their bedrooms, and I also had a neighbour's child that I was minding. He walked me to the laundry, and I used to hang my dog leads in the laundry. And so I couldn't move. He stood on my feet while he looped up the dog chain. So he could put it around my neck. And he dragged me around the house and punched me in the mouth with a dog chain on. I was being pulled tight, so I couldn't really answer the questions he was asking me. And every time I put my fingers in to pull it away, he'd pull my hands away. And he then decided that because I was hot-tempered that he should cool me down. So he ran a bath. And he put me in the bath with the chain around my neck and kept pulling me under the water, saying that he'd cool me off. And he just kept holding me under the water. So I decided I'd stop struggling, and I think because I stopped struggling and the kids were screaming, he dragged me out of the bathtub. And that whole afternoon seemed to last forever. And then after that, while he was dragging me out the bath, was when he asked if I loved him. And I said I did. He then... there was little bits of indecent assault between the bathroom and the bedroom. Then I was raped. With a dog chain around my neck. And I don't know how long it was, but after that incident, the kids, he let them out of the bedrooms and he was sitting in the bathtub. And my 2 children went into the bathroom and they got in the bath with their father, and he made me sit on a little plastic kid's chair, and I still had the dog chain around my neck. And the only reason he took it off was the fact that my son, who was still at the stage, asked him why I was wearing a dog lead around my neck.
I tried to kill him a couple of times. I cut the brakes on his truck, which later on found out that they were air brakes, so I don't know. I thought it'd work. I also put some rat poison in his spaghetti one night, and I didn't use enough of it, but it was enough just to make him a little bit sick. I got a gun and I blew his head off while he was asleep.
The final crunch was approaching a friend of mine in absolute despair. I knew I couldn't leave him because I had tried that. In the end, I felt that there was no other choice. He had put me in such a state that, looking back at it now, years and years later, I'd hate to be that same person in that state of mind. I'd approached a lady who would take me to see her son, and it was agreed upon that they would take my husband's life.
Tony wanted to have sex, but not ordinary sex. Like, he wanted to have anal sex. And like he's always subject me to have sex that way most of the time. That morning I didn't want it that way. So we ended up arguing about it and fighting. And he said to me, he used to always say, "Oh, you'd never let me. Why won't you let me do it that way?" And I said to him, "Because I don't want to." And then he started talking about my 14-year-old niece who was staying with me at the time. And he said, "Oh, I bet she'd take it up the arse." And I think that something just snapped. I walked out of the room and I was walking past the kitchen and I spotted the knife on the sink. I walked in, just grabbed it. And when he seen the knife, he grabbed a chair. I think he was going to hit me with the chair, so I stabbed him. I'm serving a life sentence for murder. And when I came here, when I arrived at the prison, and it must have been about 3 or 4 months later, I found out that there was places I could have went to for help. Like there was women's group, and all these other little agencies that would have helped. But I've never ever, when I was out, I've never ever heard of domestic violence or things like that. Even places to go to, because I just thought it was only natural for a woman to be bashed by the guy that she's living with or married to.
Along with Robin, Marie and Wendy are serving prison terms for the murder of their partners.
Yeah, the first punch, well, it broke my jaw. I got a cut up here and I lost 5 teeth out of it.
As more women come forward to tell their stories, a clearer picture emerges of physical and psychological violence against women. But rape in marriage is rarely reported, and those rapists rarely apprehended. Why men rape is a complex and difficult question to answer. We do know that the flow of rapists into our prisons has increased alarmingly over the past 5 years. And experts tell us that sexual assaults are becoming more aggravated, more violent, more widespread. And we know that rapists once released from here do rape again.
In the pub drinking, the alcohol fuels the anger within me. I think back to my childhood. I leave the pub and call a taxi. Taxi pulls up. There's a woman driving.
These prisoners are volunteers. They, along with 50 other rapists, are subjecting themselves to intensive therapy that will attempt to treat their sexual deviancy.
Any comments?
He's talking about things that happened in his past, but there was no...
It's a glimmer of light in the bleak world of Australian prisons, a bleak world where most convicted rapists are released back onto the street with little or no formal treatment.
There still could be a chance of me reoffending. It could be any kind of offence. It could be a sexual offence. I don't want to take that chance. I want to get into this course.
What happens if you don't get treatment and you get released?
I think I would offend again. You know, it might be 2 years, might be 4 years, might be 5 years. I've got this feeling that it could happen again.
I've now experienced the act of rape. I know what the power is, I know what the dominance is, I know how they have affected me. And it just doesn't hold any interest for me anymore. I think that there is far greater things and far better things for my life now than to be involved in the debauchery of my youth.